Hey all, Mark Vega here. If you're brand new, welcome. If you've been here before, well, you know how this goes. Every episode of the Run Long After 60 podcast starts with movement. Not behind a desk, not in a studio, but out on a run. Often, I record these right after the interview because I'm so psyched and inspired by people. As this podcast isn't about chasing podiums or about being fast, but it is about movement and being aware of how we move as we age, right? I didn't start running super long distances till it was after 60. That's how this thing was born. And guess what? I started looking and we are legion. They're everywhere. Today's episode is from Lauri Rottmayer, the aging rebel. Check out her content. It's so good and wholesome. And she's in her 60s. She's like, you know, when I turn 60, I start moving. We're not shrinking, we're expanding. And I love that sentiment. But I got her on the podcast because she declared in public on her channel that she's gonna run her first ultra this year. I couldn't be more excited about that. So I tracked her down. We had a lot of fun. I don't have a sister, but if I did, it would probably be someone like Lauri. That's what it feels like. Oh man, all we have to do is get out there and run. Okay, I think that's it. If you like this content, give it a thumbs up, pass it along, make a comment, share it with someone, because we're growing this little audience into something big. And guess what? It already exists. I'm just discovering it. That's all. Okay, that's it for now. Ready? I think it's time. It's time for the aging rebel. It's time for Lauri Rottmayer. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And here we are, another episode of the Run Long After 60 podcast. I'm pretty excited about this one. This is Lauri Rottmayer. Okay. But you know, I've referred to her as the aging rebel for a long time now, since I ever first saw her. So, Lauri, thank you for joining. Where are we talking to you from today? And how you doing on this fine Monday? We're recording on a
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I am sitting here in the beautiful Ozarks of Arkansas, where it's finally cold.
like snow cold. I don't know.
This weekend, I have my first trail race this weekend, and I'm afraid it's going to be derailed by snow.
Oh, what a great
know.
objective. All right, so
I'm
here's
not
how
afraid
we.
of the cold. I'm not afraid of the cold. I'm afraid of the snow. Like I broke my ankle in snow, and my motto is don't do stupid stuff. And I'm not doing stupid stuff in snow on a trail.
That's a great motto. We do hard things, but don't do stupid things. Okay,
Don't do
gotcha.
stupid
I got
stuff.
you. I got you. What I like to do, because many of the guests are in their 60s as I am, and as you are. And so instead of saying, well, tell me how you got started, I don't want the podcast to run for 4 hours. Although I don't care if it does, that's fine too. But instead, let's start, Lauri, with today. Like, how does your body feel right now? What does movement mean to you this week? And not in theory, but in practice.
I feel great. I did 11 miles for my long run on Saturday, and it's easy. I mean, like, I know I can do it. I was built for long distance, and I was tired when it was finished, but it was cold for the first time, which was nice, and it was great. I feel good.
Is that among the longest runs you've done, long runs, or no?
It is. Yep. It's my longest one.
Okay. Oh, I'm so excited to talk with you then. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's the first time you push your body past 10 miles. I remember, I'm like, man, did you feel like you unlocked something? You're like, oh, I got this. Like, what's next?
If you look at my video tomorrow on my YouTube channel, you'll see that while it was an easy day, it was not easy. I wanted to give up after like 2 miles, and I can't even tell you why. I just like come on, this is silly, you know? And I was like, and then I got to 8 miles and it was like, okay, you do 3 miles all the time. 3 miles is nothing, you know? So it was fine. It was I don't know what was in my head.
I love this, Lori, because and I shared with you before, and this is true. This is true statement, I believe. You may be the perfect kind of avatar, the guest, the perfect person to hear whatever kind of stories I'm trying to tell and convey in this podcast because you're doing hard things and you're doing things you've never done before, right? But I've now heard 1,000 people, no, probably hundreds of people on Instagram and in person and in all kinds of videos saying, we talk to ourselves. It's so hard. We can convince ourselves of so many crazy things when we're out there. We say we should give up or we shouldn't give up or why don't you quit or the car is so much warmer than these trails and they're too muddy today. They're not going to be muddy on race day. So why even continue, right? But Lori, when you just said it just now, as someone who just ran their first 11-mile training run, to say the words like, 2 miles, I was like, I want to quit. I want to just don't know. But the idea that have this awareness in the moment and certainly now, and so much so that it sounds like you captured for your next YouTube video, that when it's happening, you don't even know why you're having those thoughts necessarily, right? Talk about that.
I don't. I mean, everything was good. I was happy it was finally cold because it's been hot here. I mean, I feel like we're still waiting for fall, and I'm so melted by the time I get a few miles. And it's like, I just don't want to sweat like a pig. So I was excited it was cold and it was feeling good. I have an amazing playlist that I use that I just love. And so the music was good. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, man, I want to do this. Oh my goodness. It's like 2 miles. We're in 2 miles. We have 9 more to go. And I was talking to myself, and Laura, you are a Marine. You can do hard things. You're not stopping right now. This is going to be done before you know it. And then it was really good. I got past that little hump. And then I don't know, I got up super early because in the morning before work, I walk in the dark. And I was thinking, okay, on Saturday, I've got to do 11 miles. 11 is like twice and then some farther than 5. So I needed to still be dark. And so it wasn't. By the time I got to the end, probably like the last maybe mile and a half, the sun was coming up and it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm late. It was just like this weird whole conglomeration of weirdness in my head.
Wow. Was there a moment when the sun came up because you were feeling pressured to get your day going and all those things, but was there a moment when you're like, oh man, this is beautiful?
No, because it was looking like it's been looking kind of snowy coming looking,
Like overcast?
yeah, overcast and it was just like, "Oh my god," and I wasn't really late for anything because I didn't have anything else planned for Saturday except for that, and then we'll just fit everything else in as we go, but it was just like, "Oh my gosh, it's getting light outside, no." And
Wow.
I
Okay.
did, I walked fast, I walked a really nice pace, and so it was all good, it was weird.
So this will be fun because you mentioned it. So we're going to jump back and then jump back into the trail race you have coming up and the plans for ahead. But you mentioned service and being a Marine. Talk about that for just a little bit and how that's influenced. Like when did you serve? How did that impact the choices you make in your life, including now fitness at your age, the way that you're being fit?
Right, so I served from 1978 to 1983, and I never ran until the Marine Corps. And then I kind of liked it, and I always got a first class on my PFT, which we had to do quarterly, I think. It's been a long time. And I always got first class on my PFT, and I used to come flying over the finish line, and my first sergeant would laugh at me. He's like, "You don't look like a runner." I'm 5'11". I'm sturdy, I'm big, and he was like, "You don't look like a runner," but I loved it so much. And then after I got out, we moved back I'm from Chicago originally, and we moved back to Chicago, and I joined the Chicago area runners, and that I did actually do a half a marathon. That was the longest I ever ran with them. But back then, I preferred the 10K, and I loved that distance. And one day, let me tell you the 86-year-old lady story because it's
Okay.
good. It was my favorite race, and it happened on Mother's Day, and it was called Chicago Avenue on the Run. And I was getting toward the end of it, and I was, like, feeling tired and stuff, and I thought I just, like, I'm almost there, and I see her, and she's, like, this little old lady with short, curly white hair and glasses. I'm like, "Oh, I can catch her, right? Fast, fast, fast." Now, mind you, I'm 27, and I sailed through that chute right after her, and then the next morning, she was on the front page of the Chicago Sun-Times, "Oh, great-grandmother, mother, grandmother, whatever," and I was like, "Oh my gosh." I claim the
Uh-huh.
fame. But I think at that moment was when I knew that when I'm old, that's when I'm gonna really, like, kick butt.
That's such a great memory as we age and as you age. So you're
Yeah.
in the '80s, and the '80s running scene was just starting to take off, really, like, just at the baby infancy of it. And you served in the military less than, 3 years after the evacuation of Saigon. So you were on the tail end of Marines getting hit on all sides. So thank you for your service. I'm an Army vet myself, but I'll forgive that, selection of service, as we
It was
say.
my honor.
Right, right. Yes, was yeah, exactly, exactly. Oh, that's beautiful to remember her and remember that she was running as you will be. Okay, so now let's shift gears and come back to today. So I got excited because I think when you posted something recently, like I'm going to do my first ultra, and let's talk about what took you there. Why? I mean, you're already running, you're fit, you're doing the things, you're doing other. But so why is ultra, and what are you going to do, and how are you training for it, and when's it happening, and those things.
So much to this because I wanted to have a YouTube channel. I had a YouTube channel before when I was a realtor, and then it was such a good lead magnet, I had to shut it down when I stopped being a realtor. So I kept thinking there's something I want to do with YouTube, but I don't know what it is. And so I was putting dad jokes up there, and I got kind of like lopsided with like 86 dad jokes before I ever put anything else up there. And I love laughing. Laughing is important. We cannot grow old without laughing. And so every week I'd still do a dad joke, but I started doing 75 hard, and it was the second time I did it. The first time I did it, I was 60. And I wanted to do it again because I remember back the first time I did it, this guy on Facebook was like, "Oh, old people shouldn't do 75 hard." And it's like, why not? It's all scalable and, you can do whatever fits your abilities. And I wanted to do it. And so I thought, what a great thing to put on YouTube. So I kind of kicked off my channel with that. Then once it's finished, 75 days later, I'm like, oh my gosh, now what am I going to do videos about? And so I thought, I'm going to run an ultra marathon. Well, I wanted to do an ultra marathon a while back, right? When I first did 75 hard, I read the book Ultra Marathon Man by Dean Karnazes. And I thought, that is cool. I'm going to do that. And then I tried to start running then, and I didn't feel as good as I did back in the day.
Mm.
And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I can't do that. Well, then I like to go to sleep listening to podcasts. Now I wish I could remember which podcast I was listening to. But this guy says, yeah, I entered an ultra with the idea that I was never going to run one step. And I finished in the middle of the pack. And I was like, ultra back on the table. So I've realized that I can do this. I just need to meet those cutoffs. And so I picked my ultra that I want to do. It's on a Railta trail in Springfield in April. And
Okay.
I think I'm dialing it back though to a 25K just because I don't think I'm ready for it. And in the meantime, I've been seeing the director for Mamba 100. He is everywhere. And he seems like such a great guy. And it's like, wow, he really cares about the people who run in his race and all this stuff. And it's in
Okay.
Memphis. I love Memphis. We have another house over in Memphis. So I could do it there. And so that's in November. So that's what I'm shooting for to be my ultra ultra.
And what distance at the
Yep,
Mamba?
50K.
Okay, excellent. So 25K, when's the 25K Rails to Trail? When is that one?
April 24
April.
or April
Great.
25th. Mhm.
Okay. Wow, you're smart too. That's pretty amazing.
Well, cause don't do stupid stuff. I want to do this for a long time. When I retire, like I can't wait to just do this full time. This is going to be what I do. And so if I ruin myself, I won't be able to do that.
So true. So true. And have you been running consistently or were has fitness always been a part of your life, like, since the '80s until now? Like, there's been big gap there.
Yeah, fitness has always been a part of my life. It hasn't always been running. I got my CPT in 1997. And then in 2016, I got a functional aging specialist certificate. And oh my gosh, in the first chapter of that text, it tells you you're going to lose your endurance this fast. You're going to lose your muscle this fast. I'm like, that is not going to be me. Nope, not me. So that was like the first thing where I think kind of set me on the motion. Like, I'm never slowing down. I'm just not, that's not going to be me. And at the same time, my uncle had started getting dementia, and my aunt, we were at my cousin's wedding, and my aunt was they were there. It was a very tense situation, and she was sitting on the couch, and she was trying to get up off the couch, and I had just started learning this stuff, and I wanted to be helpful, right? And I tell her, "You should do," well, wrong. "Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Physical Fitness, I am not doing that." So, anyway, I just saw it right in front of my face as I was learning it, that I don't want to age like this. I wanna live.
I think that's such a great objective, and I think this identity of yours, aging rebel, 2 words that so perfectly fit into probably many people's vision of themselves, but in practice, it might be a little bit different. And I think according to your stories and according to the post, it looks like at some point you clearly, like, stopped asking for permission from culture, from the narratives of aging or for your expectations. So did you remember when that you're not opting out here, you're opting in? Was it in that first chapter of that book? Was that the moment you're like, "Okay, I'm in and I'm done. I'm not gonna put up with something that I wanna put up with respect to
That was
aging and fitness?"
that was the beginning. Then when I was a realtor, I helped a veteran friend, a very dear friend of mine, find her forever home. And every time we went to a house, she would count the stairs, and she'd be like, "Oh, we can't be here because we're not gonna be able to go up these stairs in a few years." I'm like, "I'm gonna be running up these stairs when I'm 120." And it just hurt my heart for her that she was already like planning for decline. Because I think that if you tell your brain, "Oh yeah, hey, like, we're not gonna go up the stairs," your brain's gonna be like, "Yeah, let's just sit here and not go up the stairs," you know? And so that was kind of what drove it home. And then I just that was when I finally started thinking about how I have to do this to like and other veteran sisters of mine. I belong to the Arkansas Military Service Sisters. It's a great group of women, all branches of service. It's really fun to hang out with women who, even if you weren't in the same branch of service at the same time, you still have the same similar experience, and it's fun and it's loud and it's awesome. And them saying, "Oh, I'm not exercising anymore. I did enough of that when I was in the service." No, you can't just stop. You can't just sit on the couch and wait to arrive safely at death. You need to move. So that's really the driving force right there.
Well said, and I can understand, I can imagine that group of people, this group of vets in the room whenever I've been in the middle of a group of vets, and we're always there for different reasons. So I can't talk about fitness to all of them, right? But you don't present yourself as this anti-aging person. You really more like a life affirming. Anti-aging is one thing, and life affirming is different from that. And I think running versus strength versus daily movement, training with the body instead of against it. Talk about some of those things because clearly, and I think this is why I'm so excited and attracted to it. This is like movement without apology. That's you.
Yeah.
You're like, let's go.
Yep. I do strength train twice a week. I think it's super important. We lose muscle as we age, just like that text said, you're gonna lose your muscle this fast. We need to strength train more than before. We can't just like sit there and think we're gonna still be okay. Because we're gonna lose that muscle if we don't use it. And I mean everything, we gotta move it or lose it. My mom used to say that to me when I was a kid, and it didn't mean the same thing as it does now. I think I don't do the anti-aging stuff. Like, I don't like, you're not gonna see me shoot Botox in my face. Like, that scares the crap out of me. I'm not gonna take potions and stuff, and that all that stuff scares me. We eat real clean, and we work out, and we get good sleep. I think I sleep 9 hours a night, which I just love. So I go to bed pretty early so that I can get up and walk 5 miles before I go to work.
What kind of data do you collect, or rather, how do you collect that data? You just wake up because you just feel 9 hours is good, or do you fall victim to, or not fall victim to, that's not the right words at all. I am a geek on the bleeding edge of tech and have been my whole life. So as we get older and as running kind of came into the world, I'm like, data, 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 data. And so I'm curious, how do you approach that? How do you know when you post your Strava or whatever, you post your run, like, how do you evaluate how it was for you?
I have a training plan for the 25K. And so I'm following that. And then if I do, like, I don't try to go fast except for one day, which is supposed to be speed. See, I know I'm supposed to be worried about tempo and speed and all that runner stuff, but right now I just want to finish. And if I finish, like, I've never been fast. I am not a fast person, but I can go far. And if I finish, like, maybe I'll one day win my age group, but maybe not. Maybe there's gonna be faster older ladies, but I'm not trying to win for the sake of, "Oh, I won this race." It's for me. And, like, I did this thing, and plus I need to do it for me. Like, I told my husband, I said, after the 50K, you realize there's gonna be 100 miles there, right?" And he thinks I'm crazy, but he's really good and supportive about the whole thing. So, I don't keep a whole lot of stats or anything. I like to sleep. 9 hours of sleep is good for me. I can get up and I can do my workout and I can function through the day. But I don't the only thing I really keep track of is that I'm getting the right required miles in because I wanna be able to do those races and finish them. I mean, if something were to happen where I DNF'd because something physical or like, unforeseen. But I'm working really hard to make sure that all those eventualities that I can prepare for are taken care of, and
Yeah,
I
the
know what I'm
things you
doing.
can control.
Yeah.
I that's another reason I'm trying not to just be like a fan guy about you, everything you say, right? Because the other thing is really important. In my mind, this two things after 60, I want people to just run long. So that would be the distances, right? After 60, or just run long after 60, right? I felt that covered all the bases because it means just keep moving. And then if you have an inclination to run long distances, then go for it. But one thing that's never a part of any of what I do or say is speed and pace and tempo and intervals. And I have a coach who's been amazing for me the last couple of years. Really understands who I am, but I too have like one day a week where it's speed training, and the way that the workout is structured, it's like I go run 7 miles, for example, and maybe there's 4 bursts in the middle of that, 30 seconds, 4 different bursts during the 7 miles, my pick when, but during those 4 bursts, run 30 seconds fast, right? And I go by, my rate of perceived exertion, and so I know what that means, and I know that it has helped. Weird little things like that. I'm no trainer, I'm no coach, right? So I do what you did, and I think I'm appreciative of the military that before I was in the army, there's no way I had no respect for the form and for a set of guidelines. I'm like, I knew better. But when I got in the military and realized there's guidelines for a reason, because there's so many different human beings here, everybody's all so different that we can't tailor make each kind of set of rules for everyone. So follow this. So when I get a structure, when I get a workout plan or some training plan or something like that, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good that I'm consistent, that I keep showing up and I do it. And it's never about the speed or never about the fast, but only recently did I start looking at, and this is why I said you were smart. Didn't have the benefit of that. I'm so excited about the race director, Kira Henninger races, that I've been involved with mostly in Southern California because that's where I've been. And as I go up in miles, because I want to, uh, I'm really, I'm committed to those races. But as I get to the higher distances, like a 100K or a 100 miler, I'm committed to those races because they mean a lot to me. But as I already plan my 2026, I'm looking like, oh, wait, if my objective was to finish the 100K or finish the 100 miler, like, there's time. I have time here, Mark. Why not pick a race that is more suited to your exact level of fitness, right? And so I appreciate the selections you made. It's really impressive to me. And I think I didn't think I was making choices that were stupid, but
Well, I didn't either.
right. But I think I'm trying to learn the difference between my own perception of my fitness level and what the data says, right? That's what I'm trying to do. So keep talking a little bit about the 25K. What's your training look like? It's a couple of months from now, and you just ran an
Yeah.
11-mile race. So, like, do you ramp up in miles, longer
Mhm.
distances? How does it work? And do you plan in trails? Do you run in the trails or on the street, or how does that work?
So I train right now outside. I live rural. It's got all the things. It's got elevation and, rocks and stuff. I the reason why I backed off of the 25K on the trail is because I went out there and I reconned the trail, and I got a mile out there and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I don't know about this." And then I got another 2 miles out there. I was gonna do 8 miles that day, and I got 2 miles. I thought if I go back, it's 4 miles, and that's about all I can do right now. It was a lot of I'm terrified of falling down the hill, you know, and I
Okay.
don't want to do that. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't see myself being able to finish it in time. So they have a 7K, which is gonna be next weekend where it's supposed to be 70% snow and 16 degrees. And like I said, I'm not afraid of the cold. It's just I don't wanna do the snow necessarily. So we're gonna, like, play that one by ear. The 25K should be fine. I don't mind getting wet if it decides to rain, or even it can be kinda chilly here still in April. It's just about an hour and a half north of us. I'm looking forward to that. I train on that trail because at some point here, like maybe 12 miles, my out in front in the neighborhood kind of thing. It's not really a neighborhood, it's an area. We call it the neighborhood. It's going to be too like confining, if you will, to be able to get what I want to get and be able to feel like I'm doing something without just struggling. So we'll just drive up there. It's good. There's Indian food up there and there's a running shoe store. So it's not just, a single, like we're going to go up there and walk 12 miles or whatever, but
Okay.
I'm going to train on the actual trail.
I think that's brilliant. Yeah, I'm grateful to be able to do that. I am challenged a little bit with navigation though still and the watch and the maps and I don't know why. I've never been challenged with navigation, but I've encountered it. So last night I was out 5 hours. The workout was 5 hours. Try to stay at race pace or as close to it and mirror the surface of the ground where I'm going to be racing in. So I literally went to the course, was out there for 5 hours, and I got to a point where I couldn't figure out how to cross this river safely. I was by myself. I'm like, this is stupid. I don't want a story. I don't want the lead of the story to be, well, he was a runner. This old dude fell in the river and, who knows, cracked his head open, whatever. I didn't want that to be the story. So I turned it into a loop. Then it went up and back and up and back and up and back 3 times. That burned up to 5 hours, took the 5 hours. And but I have the data from the race course and the cutoffs, and I'm really trying to make sure I get it in okay. And I was a little slow. So at the end, that's what the data said this morning, actually, when I read it, I'm like, oh, okay. So it's invaluable to be able to go out there
Oh,
on the
yeah.
course, I think, just invaluable. And I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. Are you doing in April, you were doing the 20 years, the next race is not the 7K might come up in very soon, but it's the
Right.
25K you're doing in April, right?
Correct.
What happens when motivation disappears, if it ever does? Like, when the body pushes back, do you ever experience that? And what actually keeps you
Discipline.
moving? Like, consistency versus intensity, like just
Yep. Discipline. Motivation is fleeting. That's a Marine Corps, beaten into me, the discipline of you're gonna do this and you can do this. And I mean, I get really very competitive and I'm not, like I said, I'm not fast or anything. There's like no way I'm going to win, but I don't want to lose. You know what I mean? And if I would be losing to myself, like it's about like keeping the promise to me in this. 'Cause I'm really the only one that matters, nobody else cares.
that's beautiful. So, what would it take when you're out there on the course and you're chasing the cutoffs and you self-talk, you've controlled the self-talk, you're doing it, you're doing it. What would be the conditions under which you could imagine, if you can even imagine, DNFing, not finishing the race? What would have to happen before you would have a DNF?
I would have to get hurt.
Yes. Yeah, I love
I
that.
just don't see myself stopping. I just don't. I can't.
Yeah, I
I
hear
need to
you.
finish.
I love that.
And even if I'm like, so I learned about, as I started learning more about ultras, I learned about the DFL.
Yes.
I could be the DFL queen. I'd be okay with that as long as I finish it, you know?
I'm proud to say that in the summer, I did a 50K called the Elder Creek Trail Runs. It was a full moon, July 12th, I think it was. And I signed up because the last race I'd run, the Leona Divide, I ran my first 50-mile run. And it took me so long, but it was in the middle of the night. And it was full moon. So the world was illuminated. So I didn't turn on my headlamp. I turned it off. And it
Wow.
was like a spiritual experience, and I just loved it. So when I saw that they did this full moon run at night, I'm like, "Oh, I'm in." So I signed up for the 50K, and it was a loop course. I'd never done a loop course before. I thought, "Oh, that's gonna be fun." You get, come to the same aid station all the time. I could have a drop bag if I wanted, whatever. And I felt pretty confident about it and went out there, and I felt confident the whole time. I was having such a good time, and then realized at the very last lap, I come in and I looked at the timer. He says, like this. He's like, "Oh," I'm like, "What?" And so the race director, thank goodness, was right there. And she said, "Are you ready to go, Mark? You got to get out there. Like, if you want to go, you want to go, you got to go." So I didn't even stop at that. I literally just came through up to the last lap and I saw her. And so I'm like, so I just took off and it was a great finish. I had so much fun. And indeed, Lauri, I can now claim that I am the DFL in this race.
Yay!
I was also first in my age group because I was the age group.
So, I have a way to think about this. Like I do pageants as well.
What do you mean?
And pageants, pageants, beauty pageants.
Okay. Okay.
I won I haven't done one since I won. I won the Crawdad Festival pageant in 2023. It was like after 25 years of competing, I finally won on the stage and it was great. But I had a friend do it and she got mad because she was second runner up. And I'm like, so? And she said, but there were only 3 of us. Nobody knows that. Everybody thinks
Right.
it's Miss America.
Right.
Everybody thinks there's 50 girls there. You don't
Right.
need to tell them there were only 3. You were second
Right.
runner-up.
Right. I
So,
love that.
nobody knows that you were the only one there.
I love that, and I think as I'm scouring through ultra sign up, which is on from the ultra and trail running community, that's where you can find all race results of people running ultras and running longer distances in the trail. So it's broken down. You can see the people who are like in the 60 to 69 age group or whatever. So I'm kind of scouring to those people, trying to DM them and then trying to get them on the podcast, right? To see who they all are. And I've become painfully aware that as we get older, and all these old aging, crushing unicorn athletes that I've talked with already, it's very much they're like gamifying the system. Like the greatest thing about running when you're older is that there are fewer of us, right?
Yep.
And so this is Pamela Chapman Markle, who's Badwater fanatic. She's run so many times, and the Keys 100. Both of those are like flat type races and just crazy, right? But she's run more Keys 100s than any other human. She's won 10 of or run 10 of them. She's 70, and she wants to out loud. She says, "I'm going to take Bob Becker's oldest finisher at Badwater. I'm going to take that place away from him." And I think he's 82 right now. So she's only 70. The idea that she's like, that's how long she's going to stay in this game. Like, I'm going to last another 14 years. And by that time, I'm still going to do Badwater. And I think that's what matters. So I'm glad you told your friend, like, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. And for
Everybody
me,
thinks it's a lot.
I don't even think about it till somebody said it when you're like DFL. I'm like, oh yeah. And so it's just a great story. I was
Yeah.
first all around. And you're right. It doesn't matter how many people there were. I still was it, right? So, oh boy.
People ask me about Special Olympics. Senior Olympics, you know? And I've been telling people for probably, a really long time that when I'm 109, I'm gonna be running the hurdles at the Senior Olympics. And so now when they ask me about Senior Olympics, I'm not old enough for Senior Olympics. I gotta be 109 to do that. I can't do a hurdle now, but I'm gonna do it when I'm 109.
Right, right, right. People ask, the centenarian decathlon, Dr. Peter Attia has like promoted that, and I love it. Getting people to move, anything I can do to help
Yeah,
people, suggest them to move. I myself need to take my own advice, right? I started with kettlebells, and so
I love my kettlebell.
we gotta keep doing it, and the more we look for it, any algorithm we're associated with or using, right? We put in a little information, it'll give us a lot of information back, right? So if you want kettlebells, boom, there we are, all over the place. And I think people talk about aging, and I tell everybody when they ask that, like, I'm making it to at least 104. That's my number. And they're like, why? And I said, well, because people just say they're going to make it to 100. It makes me feel like they're going to get there and then drop dead. I don't want that. I want the celebration of getting to 100, and then, a couple more years, and then we'll see what happens. Giving myself at least 42 more years on the.
We have an Army veteran here, she's a World War II veteran, she just turned 104 last month. Zita, she's amazing. Talk about fangirl, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
every time I see her, it's like, "Oh, Miss Edith." She's so sweet.
American Legion post that I'm associated with, you stay for a couple of years and sadly, you get to see the attrition. Like, oh, this is
Right.
the last Korean War veteran, and the last World War II veterans. And now all our Vietnam vets are getting up there in age. And I like to celebrate them as much as possible. Here's something. Oh, have you ever heard of this? Oh, I'm so glad I just thought of this. In April, in Boston, outside of Boston, there's something called the Tough Ruck.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of that.
You may have. So the Tough Ruck is one of two races that is uh, supported by the Boston Athletic Association. The Boston Athletic Association created, the oldest marathon in the country, the Boston Marathon, right? So it's the Boston Marathon. 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, after the bombing in 2013, a bunch of vets the day before had put on this little race for themselves. And they were in the bleachers when the bombing happened. They rushed in, of course, first to serve as it happens, right? The Boston Athletic Association realized what had happened, spoke with the veterans, and then decided we're going to take over this. We're going to support this effort, right? So through an organization called Military Friends, it's a 501c3 nonprofit, the Boston Athletic Association combined with them to support this endeavor. It's a 26-mile, so it's a marathon, and it's a ruck. So you don't have to, but initially it was just for first responders and veterans. And they opened it up a little bit. But what I love so much, and I urge you to do it now that I know what you're up to, you get to don your military attire, your gear, and now I had to reassemble, I had to repurchase and
How
repurpose and
would
like
you?
find it, right? I reassembled everything, including my Alice pack I served in the early 80s in the Cold War. So my Alice pack and everything but the boots, they allow you because it's pretty regulated about what you can use or do or not. So I had to get new boots, and they told you which brands you can get. So I assembled my attire in my woodland style BDUs from the 80s and did this ruck 26.2 miles. And you can choose how much heavy to carry. So I wanted to do the heavyweight division, 35 pounds. And so it was tricky. I packed more food than I needed to. So at the end of the day, I finished it, but I was at the end, they weigh you before and they weigh you after, right? To make sure there's no funny business. And at the end, I was still carrying like 42 pounds, which is, my bad. But it was so much fun. You get to march through the battlefields of Lexington and Concord, the Revolutionary War battlefields, and then all around this city that's surrounding Boston. It's not in Boston itself, but you're on the streets and you're in a couple of, paths, and it's simple. It's a street thing. And most people are just in their gear, and there's first responders with, 150 pounds worth of masks and tanks. But there's so much camaraderie. And I think I thought of it because there was a Vietnam vet who was just we connect with so many people in different ways, right? And we just had so much fun just chatting the whole way. So I think I talked on that ruck more than any other race I've ever had in my life, but it was so much fun. So I'll recommend that to you because it was just an
Okay,
adventure.
I'll look for
And
it.
yeah, I apologize that I just waxed philosophic forever about that, but it's not inconsistent with kind of how you're choosing races. Have you ever done any veterans related races or runs or things like that?
No, but it's now that you're mentioning that, it seems like it'd be a fun thing to do. I've thought about the Marine
Locally,
Corps Marathon. I've had that on my list here and there, but I just feel like I'm not fast enough for road races.
it's one of it's a premier type of race, that's for
Yeah,
sure. And, Oprah Winfrey famously finished it years ago, and she was younger than we are. I, I too, how did you decide to go, or did you do a lot of street running before deciding to do
I
the
did.
trails, or remind me how that
Yes. Before I did, when I was running before, I was all on the street. But I learned about trail running and I was like, so we just started hiking last year and
okay.
I love it. It's like I feel like I was meant to be there. How did I get to be 64 years old and not know about hiking? But I grew up in the city, so I just didn't know of it, and I love it. And this is kind of like a way I can do both things. I can have the love of hiking and do the distance, the endurance race. And when I get to 100 miles, I want to do the Arkansas Traveler. I
What's
keep
that?
looking at that. It's in Arkansas. It's right
Oh,
here,
yeah.
south of me, but it goes through the Washita, it goes out part of on the Washita Trail. It's down kind of maybe southeast-ish from me. Like, I'm almost up by Branson. I'm pretty close to the border, but
Okay.
it's down south-ish from me, and it's one of the longest 100-mile trail runs that has been in existence from what I understand, and it looks
Cool.
cool.
That
And
is
it's
very
got
cool.
Arkansas land, roots and rocks and yeah, we call it Rockinsaw. Yeah, I feel like I'll be perfectly, completely trained for that by the time I'm ready to go that far.
Are you in a are you in a state where in your head that you're like, "Oh, well, I can do 11 miles, I could certainly do 15. I do 15, I can do 25 on the trails. I can do that, I could probably do a
So yeah,
50K."
that's kinda how I got to, I'm gonna do a 25K on this David's Trail endurance run, which is listed as one of the toughest 50Ks ever. And I thought, "Oh, but that's only like the second 25K of it, I'm sure." So, and then it, like, humbled me when I went out there. I tried to do it. It's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be able to do this." Biting off more than I can chew.
It's hard to make that assessment, though, I think, when, like, if you go up on that trail and you go up for, 4 miles or 2 miles or whatever, it's so I don't think it's tempting, but I think your brain knows you. Your brain's like, well, look, we're trying to be realistic here. We don't want to get injured, so it's probably better not to do it. But then the other little person on the other side of his shoulder, the other shoulder is like, well, but you're gonna push. You're not gonna fall. When's the last time you fall and broke your hip? Remember, Lori? Did you tell me about the story that you fell and broke your wrist? No. Did you tell me about the story where you fell and broke your ankle? No. Did you tell me about your story where your hip went out while you were running? No. Did you ever climb up on a rock and slip so hard you broke your tooth? No. You know those things. I'm hoping I was right when I guessed, right? We know those things. So even if that today, well, yesterday, I really had this moment where I've been across that river, this little crossing before, at least 4 times. So when I got there and it was just the water was going faster than I thought, I kind of didn't think there was going to be this much runoff at this moment, even though we just had all the rains, right? But in California, but still, I like, I was like Mr. Orienteer. Like I went down the stream and it came back up. I was trying to figure where I can cross it. And I contemplated like through a big old rock at one point. Like, well, how far is that going? I'm like, oh, that's like deep. That's like at least 4 feet. So I was trying to assess and I'm just trying to get 5 hours of training. It was supposed to be 6, but because of this, it took me a while. It took like 33 minutes of me burning up trying to figure out how to go across. I'm like, I'm losing time here. And so I decided, because I knew I could have given it a go. I knew it. And I could have done that and kind of come back, but I also knew twice when I did this in the past, I did slip and I did fall. And it was fun and interesting because I was with people. So it was funny. And, biggest thing I was trying to do is hold my phone and my camera up out of the water. So I didn't. So it was fine. So I knew it was going to be fine, but I thought it's dark. It's going to be pitch black. And anyway, I just decided, you know what? Here's what we do as trail runners. We problem solve. I'm like, I needed to be out there on the trails. I needed to get some vert. I needed to be familiar with the course. So what I essentially did was the first, it's not even long, the first 2.5 miles on the course, that's really all it was, like to about 2.5 miles in. And then I came back down the start and I ended up looping that. And so at nothing else, I told myself, well, now you are incredibly familiar with the up and the down on that first couple of miles. So at the very end, if you're freaking out and you got to hustle and you got to just let it rip, I'm going to send it. Yeah, I'm going to send it on the way back. So, we don't, it was a hard 30 minutes. I won't lie because I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, who's talking? Which guy on the shoulder is right? The guy who's like, shut up. What do you think?
I'm very, very good at freaking myself out. So I'll be out there. There's a place I walk. It's like it used to be run, I think, by the government, a campground with bathrooms and playgrounds and the whole thing, right? But
Yeah.
it hasn't been used in I don't know how many years. But I can get 9 miles out there easily. It's got elevation, the whole thing, and it's right up there by the lake. So it's pretty well. It's really eerie on a sunny day. The last time we went out there, it was gloomy. And it was when you first go across a causeway to get to it, it's like lined with these black crows, so it looked like they were sentries, like they were
Ominous, right?
maybe
Oh, man.
ominous very much. So I get back there and I'm like hearing everything, and I'm like, oh God, there's somebody behind me. Oh my gosh, there's my husband made a joke about wild boar. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I going to go for the wild boar? I can't climb a tree. Where am I going to go? And then
I can't climb a tree.
I got out on this point and you could see the boat ramp on the other side of the lake and it was loaded with cars. And I thought, where are those people? And I saw this boat come and it was coming toward the end of where I was heading. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're waiting there for me. They're going to do something nefarious. And I'm completely freaking myself out, trying to just walk and thinking I'm hearing things. And even the last time when I did that trail where the 50K is going to be, or there's a 25 and a 50K, I was up there and I don't know why they do this. Boat come running toward the shore right where I am. And I'm like, oh my God, it thinks I'm a
What?
deer. Why didn't I wear my orange shirt? Why and then I had been getting over a cough. I started coughing on purpose. I didn't have to cough, but it was like, I'm not a deer. I start moving really, really fast. Oh God, he could see me. He's going
My
to kill me.
God.
So I need to get over that, especially if I'm going to be going in the woods in the dark.
I mean, it's so real. And I think you telling that story um, to anybody would listen in their 60s, whatever, just starting to move, it's not, we're not unique. And I guess that's the
Yeah.
point. We're all very similar, the same exact thing, those same conversations are going to happen. And I've heard so many stories about people hallucinating when they're on their 100 or 200-mile races. And
Yeah.
in a way, I'm like somehow looking forward to it. But then in a way, in the ramping up to it, I've tested out so many different lights. I carry different lights, just trying out what works and what doesn't. And, so sometimes I wear one light, but I carry another one. So the moment if I'm flashing by something and it looks like something that's not supposed to be there, whatever, and I immediately turn on the other flashlight that I have, like to shine it. Oh yeah, it's clearly a shadow. It's clearly I don't know, whenever shine a light, there's a wolf. I mean, like, well, okay, that's a game over. I guess I didn't do very much, except I was able to see the predator who's about to pounce on me.
I hallucinated once when I was in the Marine Corps. We were out in the field in Gitmo, and I was on duty in the middle of the night, and
Okay.
I was seeing things. Like, oh God, what's that? Everybody's sleeping, and there's me and this whatever is over there.
Oh my God. Yeah, you don't want to go
I
to
don't do
sleep
well in the
after
night.
that. You don't want to go back to sleep after that. All right. How about this one? Here we go. You're primed for battle. I love it. And you're all in. I love that. When you imagine yourself 5 or 10 years from now, what are you protecting now so that the future version of you keeps moving?
I'm working on durability, which is why I scaled back on the 25K and the 50K because while I think I can do it, and I say this on my channel all the time, I'm not trying to be 25 anymore. I'm not 25. I'm trying to be the best 65-year-old I can be. And I need to be able to do this for a long time. I need to. So getting myself broken isn't gonna help anything. So that's why I scaled it back. And I just wanna make sure that I've got the durability before I consider doing anything that is, like, longer than a 50K.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
As a YouTube as a content creator, and I love to hear that you first did real estate videos in a channel. That makes sense. Some of your thumbnails on the YouTube channel, let's go there for now. So the thumbnails are great, they're interesting, but they're also real. Like you put up a thumbnail, one of yours, to do something interesting, and you put up flash it next to a Mr. Beast thumbnail or some other ginormous creator. The vibe is different. You feel there's real information there. And so I can imagine you've got this level of, I think you have this level of trust and authority. Just,
I just really
yeah.
want to encourage people so much. Like I'm the world's biggest bestest cheerleader. Like I want to see everybody succeed, you know? And if I can help somebody to do that, it makes my whole day. The comments that I get on my channel, like it's awesome. It just makes my whole day. I love it.
What your audience, the audience that you have, do they have any expectations about doing race recap video? Like when you run these races and
Don't think so. And I struggle with this back and forth because I feel like, and I say it all the time, I don't expect them to go out and do a 50K. I expect them to do what's good for them. And that could be walking around the block, just anything where you're not just like sitting there doing nothing. And I want to talk about doing the races because it makes me excited, And I feel like this is where I'm going in life. And I also want to be a through hiker after we retire. I want to through hike the Ice Age Trail in Wisconsin, and I want to
ooh,
also through hike the American Discovery Trail that goes from Delaware to California. The 2 things, we're gonna sell this house and we're gonna buy an RV, so he'll be able to support me in the RV, so I won't have to worry about where I'm gonna sleep. That'll be great. I wanna, like, branch into that too. I wanna share that part of my life. What I really, really I want them to see what's possible, which right now I think, um, talking about it doesn't take away from what I'm trying to do there. I hope that at some point they don't think, "Oh, this isn't really for me because she's doing this and I'm never gonna do that." You know what I mean?
yes, yes, that's crystal clear. Okay. Okay. So yeah, you're really speaking to people who are maybe some of them are just kind of they're on the edge of the seat. They're like ready, but they haven't done it yet. And then some of them have gone out there and they're very proud of themselves because they've walked 2K. They've walked 3K. And they're
Or
gonna
they walked in the cold because they knew I was doing it, like, that kinda stuff is awesome to me. I wasn't gonna do it because it was windy and cold, but I knew that you would be out there doing it, so I did it. I don't want to be an inspiration because I can be inspiring and you can stay sitting right there on the couch, you know? But if I'm encouraging you, then hopefully you're getting up and getting to it, you know? I really just think people just need to move.
so how are you gonna convey what kinds of content will you shoot or share with people in your quest to remain durable yourself over the next 5 to 10 years? But as the channel grows, what will the channel how will the channel grow in the coming months or years if you know or thought of?
I I feel like we're gonna do the RV thing, that's what we've decided to do. We were gonna move to Belize because we lived there before and it's beautiful, and we went there for Thanksgiving and it's still beautiful, but I just he's one day we were driving back from Branson and he goes, "Yeah, I think we should just sell the house and buy an RV and you can hike wherever you want." Whoa. Yes, I think that sounds like a great idea. So it took me like 20 minutes to think that is the best idea ever. So I feel like that will actually maybe grow my channel into a bigger portion of people that might be interested in that too. But I never want to lose encouraging people to laugh, encouraging people to connect with other people, encouraging people to move, encouraging people to find their purpose. Like if you're doing something in here, it makes your whole life, Like I'm also the other thing I really love to do in my life is I'm an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce. I love to go meet the new people and encourage the new businesses and ribbon cuttings and I love it. And to me, that you find that thing in your life that you really love, it lights you up, it keeps you going, and it keeps you young.
Amen. And so if you reflect that back on the people that are watching your content, they'll pick it up. They'll pick up what you're putting down. All right. Here's a couple of good ones. Good little questions because you are certainly equipped for them. What's one non-negotiable habit?
I need to sleep. It sounds crazy. You got to move, but you can't do anything if you're not sleeping. Sleeping is so important to just being able to get through the day. So I would say that I always, I'm really a party pooper. I go to bed at 7:30, but I'm up at 4 o'clock to go walk. So it works
Okay,
for
so
me.
7:30 to 4 a.m. And then you work. So you said you get up at in the dark 30, walk in the dark and until it's daylight, and then you start your day. Is that how it goes?
Yeah. Yep.
What's one myth about aging that you're just tired of hearing?
That you can't do what you did before, that you just have to take a step back and stop doing what you've been doing and put on your you know little flowered top and let your hair get gray, wear your glasses. I'm just not that person. I'm never going to be that person.
Just like the potential buyer that you are walking to. I've never heard that story, and it's so impactful, Lori. To say, I had to count the stairs because might not be able to go up there, right? That's a very real world, practical thing that we can get ready for, I think. But if we're telling ourselves we can't do what we used to be able to, then that's that myth. You just blew through it.
Yeah, because I really think your head is really a good friend. It'll just do whatever you want it to do. And if you tell it, this is what we're gonna do, it's gonna go, okay, sure, let's go hang out on the couch.
Don't know that I picked up like relentless optimism from you, but we do know from watching your content and otherwise, if you are in a down state and you think about the down state, you'll continue in that down state. And it's very hard. The drains work for a reason, right? And the water goes down, it goes down. So being proactive and thinking differently is better. And so your content is always looking right into the camera and like, well, what I think is like you can really can move hard things, really can walk up those stairs. And even the only you can do is get off the couch. I'll wait. Go ahead. Let's get off the couch. And there's some content creators. I think part of the reason why I even decided, okay, I have to do this now. I can't be silent. Is there's some aging people who I see are they're that version of it. Get off the couch, but they're more critical. It's almost like the David Goggins of the 60-year-old set. Like, what? Don't shame somebody. Person's in their 60s already, their couch already has a big indentation because they haven't moved. Don't challenge them to get up now or what are you doing? Like, it just feels very, you know, yeah,
Now I
regimented
love
and
me
not
some
helpful.
David Goggins. I love me some David Goggins. I read Can't Hurt Me. It was the first book I read when I did 75 Hard the first time, and it made me want to be a superhero. It's like, yes, I can do this. So, yeah, I love that. I love watching him.
Me too. Me too. I mean, the fact that you said the ultramarathon man, Dean Karnassus, his story is just so
Yes.
fantastic. And I still think in the middle of the night, every time I'm passing 31 or approaching 30 or 31 miles in the darkness, because his first, when he turned 30, that's the big story he did, right? He took his head, was running in his underwear and just ran and ran and ran for 31 miles, ate pizza along the way and
I
called
was
his
just going to
then
say, did you
wife.
order pizza?
Yeah, it's called his then wife and said, "Can you come and get me?" "Sure, where are you?" And you're 31 miles away. Like, "What?" So I still think of him and I'm a big fan of his. And Goggins is the same way, but when I see a 60-year-old person,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
yeah, but yeah,
It's
Goggins
the wrong
is
approach.
yeah, I think it's really exciting to see all these hardcore people in their 30s and 40s and 50s. They're all getting old. Everybody's barreling towards 60. That's another reason why I'm like, well, wait a minute, run long after 60. Let's keep going. Aging rebel. Come on, let's keep going. Because why? Because everybody's heading toward where we are. So come on
Yes.
in. Don't be afraid,
That's
right?
why
Come on in.
I always say that my channel is for women 60 and older, but it's really for every woman who's aging, every person who's aging, honestly. I've really skewed viewer stats. I've got way more men than women, and that's probably my dad joke thing, but I'm getting there. We're switching it around.
I think even if your objective is women aging, women athletes, or women to see themselves as moving athletes, whatever, I think you have the impact because you have impact across the board, even if you're not just speaking to aging women athletes. There's a woman named Lisa Pozzoni. True Coach Lisa is her Instagram handle. Okay. She's just amazing, and she's got this
Yeah.
purple tribe of women who are, like, from 50 to 80, whatever it is, and her
Yep.
objective is just moving, right? She's a Chi walking certified person 20 years ago, and I've learned so much from her, the techniques and listening to her, but every time that, she does a post of that purple tribe just showing up wherever in Arizona somewhere, just like, it's so inspiring because just like you, the words that she chooses to as she's talking about what it is to be a woman and running and getting out there in the world and moving, it's just so wholesome and positive, and it's what we need. It's what we need more of. I'm
Yeah.
confident of that. I really feel that. All right. I often ask people two things. One is why? How has your motivation? How has your the answer to the question? Why do you run? How has that evolved over time? And I know you just stepped into it really, but you've been fit for so long. So it's really, there was a why when you were in the Marines. There was a why after. So how has your why am I running evolved?
I think I'm always just one, I want to be fit, but I want to challenge myself. And from the first time I read Dean Karnazes' book, an ultra marathon fascinated me. It's like, oh my goodness, like that's long. That takes a long time and it like really challenges you. And I want to do that. I want to be that person. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. I'm like excited. I want my granddaughter, when you see these people finishing the race and their family comes running up, I want my granddaughter to run like the last 200 yards with me or whatever. I want her, a lot of the stuff I do is because I want her to look at me. She calls me Glammy. And I want her to say, yeah, my Glammy did that. I could do that.
I love it. I love it. And they're going to do it not by talking to them about it, but they see you doing it, right? They see you doing it. I love how much I love that you love Carnassus and David Goggins and the people that I think it started with me. It did probably start with Born to Run. Have you ever read that book, Born to Run? Okay. So in 2010, that's when it's released, and so many people were impacted by understanding how that worked. And Scott Jurek, who was a world-class runner and athlete at that time, that was how I first ever heard about Jurek. And then since then, he's in his late 50s, not hadn't turned 60 yet, but he's a great ambassador of the sport and just, crushed so many records early on. And it's just inspiring to see these people continue along the path, doing hard things and being kind in the meantime. I almost feel like there's probably been ultra runners who are just jerks, but I don't see them. I don't
Sound
see
like
them.
it.
You know what I mean? It feel like in my head, I'm like, no, that's why I think I love the ultra running community that I've created in my head. But then because of the books I've read and stuff like that, but then
Yeah.
as I touch bases with them in person or for real, like this very conversation, and I don't think it's just my confirmation bias. I think there's just a lot of good people out here just trying to do good, do hard things and make an impression on themselves first and hopefully help a community in the meantime. Right?
Yeah. I like to follow not going to forget Bronco Billy, Jeff.
Browning,
Thank
Jeff
you.
Browning.
Jeff Browning and Mike McKnight. I think those two guys are really inspiring to me, and I watch everything that they do, and I want to be like them.
I can't describe how much I love everything you're saying, Laura. You're really awesome. I think that's it, isn't it? When we can get so inspired, like, oh, yeah, I want to do that. There's another gentleman who's one of Bronco Billy's good friends named Jesse Haynes. And Jesse's partner with Kira Henninger. in those races. And Jesse like won Moab 240 a number of years ago. And just he's been out there and a top runner forever and ever. And I was grateful that when I finished my first 50 miler at 2 in the morning, he was there. And he's the guy that hung my medal. He hung the medal around my neck. And yeah, I wasn't planning on it. I had no idea that was going to happen, but somehow the connection we can make. And now thanks to social media, I think it can be very, very real to our own story as we go out and train I'm on the trails last night. There's nobody out there. Nobody. It was nothing out there but me and the earth and the divinity and whatever I needed to have out there, including there was a guy on this shoulder, there was a guy on this shoulder. A couple of times this guy just barely pops up and no, don't need you today. Go ahead. You go back. I'm not entertaining that. Right. All right. Last one. This has been such a joy. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I've really enjoyed hearing about you. And I look forward to kind of tracking you as you move things along, certainly as you do your first ultra, a big, or all of them really. Finish this sentence for me. How about aging is not a limitation. It's a
Gift. It's a gift, and we just have to open it every dang day. There's so much to do. Like, there's so much, like, I just cannot wait until tomorrow because it's going to be something else exciting.
you are the most perfect kind of soundbitey
Like,
guest I can imagine. So
oh,
thank you.
I will come down to my office here now.
All right. Thank you very much, Lauri. It's been absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed it. And I hope one of these days I'm going to see you out on the trails. Sound good?
Yep. So, yes, thank you for having me. It's been so much fun.
Good. I'm glad to see you.